Welcome to Your Cyber Path, the podcast that helps you get your dream cybersecurity job by sharing the secrets of experienced hiring managers and top cybersecurity professionals with you. Now, on to the show.
Jason, you teach this all the time, all right? As a concept, what is least privilege to you?
Yeah, so least privilege, it's one of those things that I love the definition because it's so much just tied to the name, right? The concept of least privilege is giving somebody the minimal things they need to do their job. So, for example, if I was going to say, Kip, I want you to come work at Dion Training as an instructor, I'm going to have to give you access to our shared drive. I'm going to have to give you access to email, but I don't necessarily have to give you access to every file on my shared drive. And instead, I would just give you access to the instructor folder and keep you out of my financial folder, right?
Yeah.
Or if in the case of Accolade, we were writing a bunch of exams. And so one of the things we have to do is once somebody submits a question, they should never be able to see that question again. And they shouldn't be able to export it from the system either, because we don't want those questions making their way onto the open internet, because that invalidates the quality of the exam. And so we put permissions in place so that there are very few people. In fact, there's only 2 people who can look at the entire question bank. And those 2 people can only look at it if they're together and they both log in, because we have a dual control aspect to this as well. But the idea is with least privilege, you could submit things, but you couldn't read those. Or
Right.
you could read somebody else's question, but you couldn't read everybody else's questions, only the ones assigned to you. And so when I think about least privilege, it's always about giving somebody just enough to do what they need to do and no more. And this, the biggest flaw to least privilege I always see is people just go, oh, here's an admin account, or here's the permissions the last guy had, right? And you just took over, Kip's job. Everything Kip had, we gave to you. Well, that works great for probably 80%, but there's probably things you were doing that I'm not doing. For instance,
Right.
if we tried to mimic every instructor at Dion Training after Jason, they would have way too many permissions, because Jason is also the CEO and is dealing with financials and hiring and firing and HR stuff and all the other stuff in the company. So I have access to everything, but an instructor only needs instructor stuff.
Exactly.
And so that's the long answer to a short question. But when we talk about least privilege, it's the least amount of something to do your job.
Absolutely. And we see least privilege all over the place, right? Not just in computers. So I don't know if anybody's ever experienced having a valet key. Well, I drove a lot of cars over, my life. I actually don't even own a car right now, which is a crazy new experience for me. Ever since I was 15 and a half years old, 16 years old, I owned a car. But listen, I don't know how often this comes around these days, but used to be that when you bought a car, you got a separate key. It was called the valet key. And all it could do was it could let somebody park your car. That's it. So it wouldn't let you open up a trunk. It wouldn't let you, let's see, what else could it do? Maybe the gas cap was behind a key or something like that. And so the valet key had a reduced set of privileges, of capabilities. And so if I was going to go to a restaurant and let somebody park my car, if I handed them the valet key, then I know anything in the glove box, anything in the trunk, they can't get to it because it's locked and that key doesn't open it. But I have a master key, and that master key opens up everything. And same thing with like a building, right? So we've got cards that let us into rooms we need to be in. And there's somebody out there, a locksmith, building manager or something, and they have a key and they can go anywhere that they want. And we don't want to give everybody master keys. So anyway, even in the real world, we still see least privilege.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you brought up the valet key, because on a lot of the newer cars, because they have computers in them, they actually take this a step further. So, you've been in my car before, Kip. I have a Tesla. I drive a Tesla Model Y, and it has a valet mode. And so if I'm dropping off my car to a valet, I can hit the button and it will actually lock the car down. So the car can't go faster than, I think it's 25 miles an hour. They can go around the parking lot, but they can't go on a joyride. It locks down things like the trunk and the glove box, so they can't access it. It locks down my history of my navigation, so they can't go, oh, what's your home address? So I can go over there. Because my car has my garage door opener already built into it. And so if they just took my car to my house, it'll open my garage. They could steal everything from my house.
That's perfect.
They've locked all this stuff down with this valet mode. And so it's an electronic mechanism of the old key that you used to have for the valet key.
That's perfect.
But there's a lot of new cars that do that kind of stuff too. So it gives you that same idea of least privilege. What does a valet need to do? They need to drive slowly and go to a parking spot. They don't need to go 50 miles an hour down the highway. And so this prevents that type of capability too.
Right. Somebody must have watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off over at the Tesla factory, right? Do you remember the scene where they parked the Ferrari in a garage and these 2 guys take it on a joyride? And that's just not possible with valet mode on a Tesla, is it?
Nope, exactly. They can go as fast as they want, up to 25 miles an hour.
A slow speed cop chase, that'd be kind of funny.